Hi, welcome to Bad Music Taste and Other Ways to Ruin Your Life. My name is Dominic.
And my name is Sam. Dominic has a record this week.
This week's record is Grave Returns' We Have to Know. This record was first released in 2017, and the copy I have here is a first pressing on black vinyl. Anyways, today we're talking to Tony Pence of Glue Traps and Celebrated Summer Records. How's it going, Tony?
How are y'all doing? Thanks for having me on.
Good.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing it.
Yeah, of course. I saw your episode with Bill Stevenson, and the Descendants and all are my favorite band of all time, forever.
Yes.
And so I watched that one, and it was great. I love Bill in everything that he does, and it was a really cool interview. So.
Oh, well, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
That was a dream come true.
Yeah. Bill's really nice. I don't know him, but I've gone really long distances to see all and the Descendants play, and I've interacted like a little bit with him here and there, or watched him interact with other people, and he's just so sweet. It's great when there's a band that you look up to so much, and then you get to talk to them or be around them or whatever, and they just really live up to your expectations, and you're not disappointed, or anything like that. So Bill, all the guys in All and Descendants are like that, but to see Bill do interviews and and stuff like that is just always heartwarming. He's just like so great. So
they just did this thing with alternative press, and it was like, this is how we make our coffee in the morning.
Oh,
and it was the best. Carl was like, I like to find beans as dark as a politician's soul.
Yeah, Carl's amazing.
We need to get Carl. That's the one person we're missing from the Descendants.
Yeah. That's those guys are great. One time, it's weird. I saw that you all watched Filmage, the documentary. Yeah. So in that documentary, they say, "Oh, nice. I have that poster too somewhere around here." In that documentary, Fat Mike from NoFX, he says that you won't find a person that likes all more than the Descendants, but I'm that person. I like them both very close, but I'm a huge All fan, and they did a live recording. There's like a CD that's the Descendants and All.
Yeah, Live Plus One.
Yep.
Yeah.
And me and my friends drove from Baltimore all the way to Fort Collins, Colorado, to be there when they did the live taping for the All set. I think the Descendants set was done in California, but the All set was done in Fort Collins. So we drove all the way out there and slept in a van with no heat, and just so we could.
That's cool.
Were they promoting it like as if it was going to be a CD, or?
I think we had heard that they were going to be recording that show for a live record. We didn't know what live record, or we didn't know anything else other than that. So we were like, well, okay, let's go. And we went, and Bill is so sweet. He invited everyone to his house. I think they recorded 2 nights, and he invited everybody to his house. So we got to again, I didn't really talk to him or anything, but we were there, and my photo is in the CD, in the layout of the compact disc. You can see me and my friends that drove out there, and it's like a
that's cool.
favorite.
Yeah.
It's just because I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was.
Okay, yeah, I was just.
Live Plus One was one of the albums that was played in the car for me. Yeah, it was like we had like all of the Descendants albums on like MP3 on like a thumb drive.
Yeah, I mean, still, it's a great, the music is there no matter what format you listen to. I mean, vinyl's cool, but I have CDs and I have MP3s and cassettes and everything. So whichever way the music is getting out there to people, I think it's the most important thing. So.
Yeah. Like we've said this on other interviews, like vinyl, you can like look at the notes and like see who they thanked and see like just like almost what was going through their mind when they wrote the record.
It's really to just hold a record.
Yeah, it's like check these bands out too, and then on Spotify all you have is fans also listen to.
Yeah, that's very convenient now, though. I love that about Spotify. I mean, Spotify has negatives in that it doesn't seem like the artists get paid very well, and that's of course like not a good thing. But the fact that you can just say fans also like, and then you can kind of check other things out. When I was a kid, I'm 48, so mostly when I was a kid, there was no internet. This is like the, mid to late 80s. And we would buy everything on cassette, really, for that time period. And we would just stare at the thanks lists and just see who everybody thanked. And then we would go back to the store and buy those tapes and just hope that so, in that interview with Bill, did you say that you live in White Marsh?
We live in Perry Hall, so yeah, kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
So I grew up in Perry Hall on Slater Avenue and Bel Air Road. I don't know where exactly you guys live.
I live literally like one street down from Slater Avenue. Like I take that street to go to my house.
Yeah.
Cut that out.
So I grew up,
fine.
Right, I grew up on Slater Avenue in Perry Hall for like my whole life until 1996, and we would just walk to White Marsh Mall. We didn't drive or anything. We would just walk to the mall and buy cassettes and or drive our bikes, ride our BMX bikes to the mall or whatever. And so that's funny that you guys live in Perry Hall. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just recently moved here, like a year or two ago.
Mhm.
Before I was living in Dundalk.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fundalk, as we call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not even far. I live in Parkville now, but yeah, I grew up. All my growing up was done in Perry Hall, and I went to like Perry Hall High and Middle and stuff like that. So
After moving from Dundalk, I watched this video. I moved like right before middle school started. I watched this video that Bucky LaValle did.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, and he was like, "This is my high school," and he like jumped down the stairs.
That's awesome.
I was like, I could have gone to the same high school as Bucky LaValle.
Yeah. Baltimore has some cool, people thumb their nose a little bit at Baltimore sometimes, but we have Bucky LaValle, John Waters. There's all kinds of really cool things that come from Baltimore.
I'm pretty sure Jamie Miller went to our high school.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Our soon-to-be high school.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I feel bad. I'm sorry I hijacked this and talking.
Oh no, that's fine.
No, that's totally fine.
It makes it easier for us.
Yeah.
Places won't care. They'll be like, "What is Perry Hall? What is White Marsh?" That means nothing to us.
So you, of course, own Celebrated Summer. So how is it difficult to run a record store during a pandemic?
Yeah. So what happened was I closed like a couple of weeks before there was like the mandate to close. We just saw the writing on the wall, wanted to be safe, and closed everything up. I stayed closed for almost 4 months. I really don't do a lot of online sales. We just basically closed the store and crossed our fingers that, I would be able to open again at some other point. And then, about 3.5 to 4 months later, we opened up, but with like pretty stringent kind of things in place. So I just have the store limited to 5 people at a time. The store is actually pretty large. So 5 people in the store is like 15 to like 20 feet between people. You know what I mean? It's not, I don't have the store's not like super tiny. So 5 people in the store is like a pretty good distance. We just really make sure everybody wears their mask and everybody keeps their mask on properly, which is great. And just have like stations where everybody can sanitize everywhere. And it's been working fine. I have, plexiglass barrier and stuff like that for like up close, dealing with people. But basically everybody's been very understanding. I'm always worried that, you see on the news, I guess, that people just like bust in and they're like, I don't want to wear a damn mask or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And there's trouble and stuff. But for whatever reason, I've been now open longer than I've been, it's been like 3 or 4 months that I've been open, and everyone has been understanding. Everybody has been cool. When the store's at capacity, a couple of people just have to wait outside. And when one person leaves, one person can come inside. And I think everybody understands that the alternative to that is that everybody's closed. You know what I mean? So everybody's been really understanding and cool about it. So, it gets a little stressful at times, but overall I'm able to run the store and it's still functioning. So that's the best I can ask for. And hopefully at some point, just society at large improves to the point where, we can get back to whatever normal means. you know?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it can be stressful because to go from like so many people at a time to 5, like that's like a big difference, you know, in many ways. But like you said, having like places like record shops and things that involve music open at all means a lot, because music is like the one thing nobody's talked about. Like, you know, like we've talked about it before, but it's like nobody's talked about concerts, you know, nobody's talked about the possibility of that. So like music is like the one thing that's like binding people together right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and business has been fine. People have a lot of time on their hands, and you know, I guess there's levels of, you know, I guess like kind of danger when you're out there, and controlled environment like a record store, I feel like isn't too bad. Everybody's keeping their masks on, and you know, again, you can limit the number of people. I think when people are out there at bars and restaurants, it's a little harder because they're pulling their masks down, drinking, eating food, you know, being in close proximity to each other. And then sometimes, alcohol comes into play. And, you know, sure, when they go in, maybe they're being really careful, but like after a couple of drinks, everybody's just like, whatever.
Below their nose then.
Yeah. So, I mean, I worry, like I personally I don't drink anyway, but like I haven't gone to bars or restaurants or anything. That stuff makes me kind of nervous. I just kind of stay home and go to the store. And that's like,
that's totally us too. I mean, like we personally go out like as least as possible. Like school takes up a lot of our time, and that's all online anyway. So I'm not comfortable with restaurants and all that. That's too much.
Me neither. I don't want to see restaurants go out of business or anything. So like, you know, we'll do Chinese takeout or we'll order places and have it delivered. But I think that the in-person experience, even outside seating style, is like, it makes me nervous. Even when I walk past it, I'm like like waiting for someone to sneeze or something.
Two on.
It makes me a little too nervous. So
like they have like this one restaurant near me. They have like this big tent, and they have like TVs outside because it's like a sports place. But what's the point? They have like these fold up picnic tables.
And
when you can watch The Office while eating.
Right.
Exactly. And you know the people that are there like taking the time to go out to a restaurant that are eating at said restaurant can go home and watch the same thing and eat the same thing.
Yeah.
Like they don't need to be going out.
Restaurants and bars are, you know, they're struggling maybe worse than other places. They're really trying their best. But at some point it becomes like it's a battle versus like, you know, trying to stay in business, public safety, you know what I mean? It's like moving like that. It's like, it's difficult, you know, it's like, I don't have all the answers, you know, I mean, it's hard for everybody, but no, you know, I just carry out everything and, you know, take it home or whatever. Seems like the safest bet for now. So.
Yeah, like even outside, like the tables still seem too close. I mean, I mean, even if they measure them and it's 6 feet, like still, I mean,
I feel like what you were saying, it's not always like public safety anymore. Like sometimes they'll gauge like staying in business over that, and that's when it's like no.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't want to come down on them too hard. I have a business that I have a very controlled environment where I can like, you know, I can stay in business with having it be very, very limited amount of people in the store and really police what everybody's doing and keep masks on. And not everybody can do that. So I don't want to like look down too hard at like these businesses that are trying to stay. It's just, you know, for me, I just feel like, I'm just going to take takeout and just I'll support them that way. You know what I mean? You know, but I don't want to be in a situation where somebody's drinking and pulling their mask down and like, you know, spitting at me or whatever.
And I mean, you have like 30, 40 unmasked people in a parking lot, even if they're all far away.
Right.
I mean.
Talking about it makes me nervous. Makes me
like you look on TV nowadays and you see people on like a sitcom out at like dinner. You're like, where's your mask? Why are you touching?
I'll watch Friends and they're like, now let's go get coffee.
Yeah, I have nightmares. I have like actual literal nightmares where I'm at a show or at a movie. Like my favorite things to do pre-COVID was to go to the movies or go to shows. And I have nightmares where I'm at the shows and I'm not wearing a mask or nobody's wearing a mask. And I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, what? So it's just like, yeah, it's changing. Like the landscape, is changing like so fast that it's bringing all new anxieties. So it's terrible.
Yeah.
Don't cause a panic.
Yeah.
So on the topic of the store, what made you want to start a record store?
Yeah, I worked at one first. So I did a bunch of really regular jobs. I had a paper route. I worked at an Italian restaurant. I worked at White Marsh Mall at Suncoast Video, which is not there any longer. But I worked there so long ago that it was only VHS and laser discs. So in the early 90s. And I worked at a comic book store as well, also in Perry Hall for a number of years. And but after those jobs, I wound up getting a job at a record store in Baltimore called Reptilian Records, and it was like a punk-only record store, like capital P punk. Like it was filthy. It was just like filled with nothing but like the Stooges and heavy metal and punk, and that was like it. It was a real it was a ridiculous kind of like amazing store that was really a product of its time. And
CBGBs of record stores.
really was like that, yeah. And so I worked there. I would go there all the time. I was actually scared to go there. I lived in Perry Hall, and my dad would drive me to the record store and just be like, okay, come out in 20 minutes or whatever. But we would actually be scared. The owner had like really crazy long hair and all these tattoos. And like, it was really intimidating because we were just kids from the county that we didn't know. I didn't know anything, but we would go there and I would just go and go and go. And eventually one day he was like, do you want a job here? And I was just like, yes, I absolutely do. So I quit my job at the mall to work at the record store, and I wound up working there for 10 years. And I liked it so much that when that store stopped existing, it eventually went out of business. I decided that I would open my own store, and that's what gave me the idea. But I had the experience of working for somebody else for 10 years to do that. So.
All right, cool.
Yeah. I mean, so like obviously because of that, you're pretty into records, as we can see from your background as well. So what would you say, like out of your collection, would be some of your favorites?
What's weird, I collect. Another reason, I guess, so that record store that I worked at was like really, really heavily just a punk store. And when I was a kid, I missed, I'll be 48 in a month. I'll be 48. And so, but I still missed that like kind of classic era of punk. Like when Black Flag played its last shows in Baltimore, when they came through Baltimore for the final times in like 1986, and the Descendants did their final shows and they were playing in Baltimore in 1986, I had like long hair, like a mustache, like a mullet, you know what I mean? Like the kind of like Joe Dirt look or whatever. And I was seeing like Motley Crue and AC/DC, because I lived out in Perry Hall where you guys live, and nobody that I knew liked punk. Nobody said, hey, check out this other stuff. We were just a bunch of like dirtball heavy metalers that just rode our dirt bikes and like had long hair and listened to Motley Crue, basically. that's what we did. And so I came from that world, and then I started listening to a lot of hip hop at the same time. So like 1988, 1989, we were listening to like Slayer and Public Enemy. And then like my dad was a big Motown guy. So he would say, hey, listen to the Supremes, listen to the Four Tops. And then I started listening to all this stuff all at the same time. And then, yeah, the store that I worked at gave me a lot of influences as well. So what happened was I just wound up really liking a lot of different styles of music. This is a long-winded way of saying that like I collect punk and jazz and funk and disco and like all kinds of crazy music. And it's really difficult to pick, like, you know what I mean? Like some of my favorite records. I mean, behind me, there's SSD, which is like one of my favorite punk records, and then John Coltrane, who's one of my favorite jazz musicians of all time, and then the Marvelettes, who are like a girl group, and then Discharge. So it's like really runs the gamut, of what I'm interested in. But like I love like modern stuff and like modern punk and pop punk and like stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, it would be really difficult. But I love collecting records, and that's why I love my job, and that's why I have a record store, so I could basically take that, have fun with them. So
in our like hallway, there's this framed just cover of the SSD record.
Oh, nice. Oh, did Al, he sells those? Like,
yeah, we bought it from Nancy, and he signed it out to like my dad.
Oh, that's so cool.
He was like,
yeah, that's great.
Like
Nancy,
glue, like crew.
That's great. Nancy has a book coming out.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I'm really excited to read it. I follow her on all the social media stuff, and her book seems awesome. That's a time period. I mean, 48 feels old, but like I wasn't there for any of that stuff. That was so that was just before my time. So yeah, I'm super excited to read the book or whatever. So yeah, this one actually has the record in it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we just got the sleeve.
I felt like maybe I could mail them one, or I could get a sleeve signed, and then I could put my record in that sleeve, and then I would have a signed one. But I never did that. I forgot to do that. But yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's such a great record.
I mean, speaking of books, I'm in the middle of the like new Bad Religion book.
Oh yeah, I haven't read that yet. Yep.
Yeah, I'm only a couple of chapters in, but from what I've read, this is like still with their original drummer. It's good. It's interesting.
Yeah. Bad Religion's a great band. The very first time I saw them was with All, and they played. It was. And that was the first time I saw All, and the first time I saw Bad Religion, and it was at the old 930 Club in DC. And the first night, All was the opener, and Bad Religion headlined, and then the next night they switched it, and Bad Religion opened up, and All headlined. And I think it was the Generator tour, but I remember just Bad Religion's set list was like, there was like 40 songs on it or something. I was like, oh my God, like I can't. It was actually the first and last time. I actually never saw them again, but I guess it was 91 or 2 or something like that. I can't remember, but I never saw them after that for some reason. But that was that show had a lot of impact on me, and Bad Religion were great. So that book is on my list of things to read.
My dad is from Rochester, so he knows a lot of people that like stayed in Rochester, and they played Bad Religion played New York, like upstate New York last year. So we went up there, and then at the show, Greg Graff, like we were right in the front. Greg Graffin comes down, and he's like, "So what's your name?"
That's awesome.
Because I guess there were a bunch of kids in the front. I couldn't see like over.
Yeah.
And then he like kept going back down the line. He was like, "So what's your name?"
Amazing. I forgot to ask, but how old are you all?
We're about 13.
13, okay, right. 13, I was listening to the worst music. I mean, like, literally the worst music. I mean, I don't know, like Styx. I think I had a set of like Pac-Man Fever. It was like songs from video games. Like, you know what I mean? Like, literally so you consider yourselves amazingly lucky to be at a time when, like, yeah, so young, you can just, talk to the Descendants and like see these shows. That's amazing. Yeah, I didn't find any of this music until much later in my life, partially because I pre-internet and I lived in, the wilds kind of out there in Perry Hall. So I didn't get to find anything cool until much later. You're very lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say we're pretty good for where we are in comparison to what other kids our age are listening to.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Nowadays, I mean, with again, with the internet and stuff, anybody can discover and find stuff, and just kind of, then it's just what's to your taste. You know what I mean? If you're interested in punk, the whole world of punk is kind of open to you. And if you're interested in hip hop or funk or anything else, even jazz, like you can discover that and kind of like go down those various, paths or whatever. So, which is cool.
Yeah, and I found it kind of funny that you brought up like going to Motley Crue shows and everything, because around that same time, my mom was like obsessed with Van Halen and Motley Crue. Like Dominic's parents are like huge like punk rock fans, and my mom's like hair metal. I love Motley Crue. Like she listens to like everything, but that was like her thing. She was obsessed.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I have a soft spot. I have a soft spot still for some of those bands. I mean, for me, I transitioned in '86 and like late '87, Motley Crue and Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, and then by the time 1988 rolled around, it was like Slayer and Voivod and Testament, kind of thrashy. You know what I mean? Like kind of more serious metal.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, though, then hip hop, and then starting to get into punk. So by the time I really was listening to punk like properly, it was like 1989. It was like those classic years were like done, basically, you know.
Yeah.
And I saw some cool stuff, but if only somebody had just said like, "Hey, instead of going to this Motley Crue concert, you know, why don't you go to this Black Flag concert?" Probably would have appreciated. I would have appreciated that nudge in the correct direction. But you know, I can say that I saw Motley Crue, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever.
And punk rock is like looked down on in my school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious how that is. Like,
Dominic definitely knows more than I do. Like, I'll just be like honest about that, because before Dominic, I didn't even know what punk rock was. So it's definitely interesting. There's definitely people that are like, oh, you listen to punk? Okay. And like there's still like a stigmatism there.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, the store, one of the things that's interesting to me is that my customer base, I've had the store for 14 years, and my customer base has kind of like gotten younger. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you all said you're 13. Kids that are 13 and 15, I mean, that's like born before vinyl, you know, well after vinyl had its like, you know, really moment or whatever. And but yeah, kids are coming in that are like incredibly young and buying like punk records and stuff. And it's interesting. So I'm always curious what the larger thing is like. And yes, you're saying that like in school, I mean, for me, it was the same way. Like we were looked down upon being heavy metal fans, and then we were definitely looked down upon being, you know, punk rockers. You know, so yeah. I definitely, it was not easy. Like, I think being the way that I was, in
like, high school. People are like, or I'll see somebody with like a Ramones shirt or a Misfit shirt, and I'm genuinely curious. I'll ask, "Hey, what's your favorite song?" I'm not trying to be an asshole about it.
Right.
And then they're like, "Gatekeeper."
Yeah, literally, that's what happens, because you know, like I like the Ramones a lot. So like if I see somebody wearing that shirt, I'm gonna go up to them and they're like, "It's just a cool design," and I'm like, okay.
No, I sell t-shirts and buttons and patches at the store, and one of the things that's really important to me is making sure that the store is open for everybody. I mean, I have a heavy punk selection in the store. There's tons and tons of punk records and things there. Also tons of jazz and, you know, classic rock and things like that too. One of the things that's really important to me, because I shop at record stores all over the world, and I really don't like when people come into stores and there's like kind of a snooty attitude. You know what I mean? If somebody asks for something perceived as uncool, or like they don't know what something is, sometimes people will come in and they'll just say, you know, can I have that patch with the skeleton on it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they don't know what the band is or what it means or anything. And I never say anything. I always just go, yep, no problem. And then, you know, you just hope that like maybe that person would go home and Google it or whatever, because we're in that world where you can just Google whatever it is. And then maybe they wind up liking it, and that puts them on a path to like some interesting stuff. So it's hard, you know, people will come in and they'll just be like, ask for like, you know, really strange things or whatever, and I'm just like, yep, no problem, I got it, or I don't have it. But like, I don't ever want to be, you know, like judgy or whatever, because my feeling is, no matter how, you know, I can say, okay, cool, I saw the Ramones, you know, in, I don't know, 1991 at a club in Baltimore or whatever, you know, and I saw Slayer in 1988, but my brother-in-law is like, I don't care that you saw Slayer in 1988. I saw them in 1986 when they were really good. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna be in my place now. No matter how much you know, or no matter what you've seen or done, there's always somebody that's like older or like cooler or like a little more. And so that always keeps me in my place. I never want to be like, oh, I can't believe you didn't see this, or you didn't know this, or whatever. Because, you know, it's just like there's never going to be, you're never at the top. There's always going to be somebody that knows more. And having a record store, it's cool to tell people about things. If people come in and ask me, hey, like, what jazz artists do you recommend? Or what punk things do you recommend? Like, I'm just getting into it. It's great to be able to like tell people about stuff and be like, you know, give information. But sometimes people come in and they're just like, hey, do you have a record by so-and-so? And I'm like, I don't know who that is. Tell me about it. You know, it's like you want to be open, you want to be like open to receive information. And so that's what makes my job interesting, is that I'm not just there to be like the record store clerk just going, oh, I can't believe you don't know about this or whatever. It's like, I want to learn about things. And sometimes that's brand new things, you know what I mean? And sometimes it's old stuff that I just missed. And so, yeah, if you have that two-way street going, you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know, everybody benefits, you know, and nobody feels awkward about like not knowing something or having not been somewhere, not seen something at some time, you know, or whatever.
Yeah. So. Kind of like you said, it should go both ways. Like the people who are kind of, I guess, in charge or like at the higher position should still be open to learning. Like I feel like, you know, you learn something new every day. It's what everybody says, but it like you truly can. And I've definitely had that moment where I've gone in and like asked a question. Somebody's been like, you don't know that? And I'm like, no. I'm like, no, I don't. Why do you think I asked?
Yeah.
But I'll wear like a Descendants shirt. Is my mic on? Sorry. I'll wear like a Descendants shirt to school. People will be like, why do you have a dick on your shirt? It's Milo.
No. Yeah. Well, you know, I hate to, you know, so I said that All is one of my favorite bands, you know, and so I have an Allroy tattoo like on my arm here, you know, but anytime I go anywhere, people just go, oh, you have a Bart Simpson tattoo, you know? I'm like, yes. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? It's not worth.
It's not worth going into all the details.
Oh, it's a band and it's this character or whatever. I'm just like, yep, don't have a cow, man. It's a Bart Simpson tattoo.
Eat my shorts.
Right. I don't need to like go into a whole big thing about it. You know what I mean? I just like let it slide. I'm like, yep, that's a shirt with a dick on it. Like, don't know. I guess. You know.
Last year they gave us like these folders, and I made like all these like homemade stickers and like put them on there. I mean, I had like a veil, everything like that. I had like Black Flag, and they're like, why the 4 bars?
Right.
I was like, I don't know, why not?
Like, I mean, sometimes if people seem genuinely interested, it's fun to explain to them, you know what I mean, or whatever. Yeah. But other times they're just like, what is that? You know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's just a thing, don't worry about it. You know what I mean?
Like, it's like,
you wouldn't get it
either. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just like, you know, people, I mean, you know, you were kind of saying that like you didn't know about punk, you know, before, you know, and it's just like, but like at 13, you know, if I had discovered punk at 13, I would have been like, you know, I would have been over the moon. And it took me until, I don't know, 17 maybe or something like that, you know, to really, you know, have any kind of an understanding or like enough that I was like buying the records and like trying to go to the show and stuff. So to have somebody to just like kind of kick down, and that's what happened, you know, at high school, somebody gave me a cassette and it had Ramones It's Alive on one side and the Dead Milkmen on the other side, the first record. And I was just like, oh, great. You know what I mean? And maybe I had seen stuff on television or whatever, but I didn't really know anything until I got that tape. And then, I started like, you know, other kind of going down the path, you know, from there.
Yeah, the only reason Dominic and I ever talked to each other in the first place was because we were in like this French honor society at school, and he was wearing a NoFX shirt, and I look over and I'm like, hey, that's a cool shirt. What does it mean? Like,
And most people are just like, why do you have a drunk rat on your t-shirt? I just, oh my god, I do.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
So, quick shout out to Baltimore. But what would you say your 3 favorite venues in Baltimore are, either for watching or playing or?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a little bit of a cheat. I worked at the Auto Bar at both locations, the early location, and it's funny because before there's the Auto Bar now, and then it was the Auto Bar on Davis Street. But before it was that, it was this other place called Chambers, and I actually NoFX played there really early on the S&M Airlines tour, which is like
Oh wow.
very early. And I remember I had to go to school the next day and I couldn't go to that show. And so anyway, that's just like my sad NoFX story. Although I did get to see them. They played at this other place called the 8x10 on the tour for White Trash, like that tour. And
Yeah.
I got to see them there, so that was cool. That's also the only time I ever saw them. But,
Fat Mike said he would do it, and then we sent him an email, and then never heard back again.
I assume he seems very busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a lot of stuff on his plate, but he also did a really fun, like a cool interview. I roadie sometimes for that band, the Nightbirds, from New Jersey, and those guys were really cool. They took me to Australia with them, and I got to do like some of the shows. The Descendants took the Nightbirds out a couple of times, and because the Nightbirds guys, I'm not like a professional roadie or anything, but like they know how much of a Descendants fan that I am. So they were like, hey, we're going to play these 5 shows with Descendants, so you can just come with us or whatever. So I got to do that as well. But those guys always say really, really nice things about Fat Mike, that he is just like, you know, a really cool guy. And we watch interviews and stuff. He seems pretty friendly. I'm sure at some point, watch him probably be down. So.
Oh yeah, I'm sure most of the time it's like in their spam folder or something.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Auto Bar. I did work there for like 6 or 7 years, but I also think it's a really great venue. And yeah, I mean, really, the Auto Bar is my favorite, you know, actual real brick and mortar venue in town. I mean, I would say that all my other favorite things are like, I really love house and basement shows when they happen, or like when they can happen, or shows that are in like really peculiar places. You know, when I lived in Perry Hall on Slater Avenue, my mom was cool enough to let me have shows in the basement there or whatever. And we only did a couple, but you know, that kind of feeling is always my favorite. So even at my advanced age, you know, even like being almost 50, like going to when people just have shows in houses or like a barn somewhere or like some of those like weird thing like that. There's been, you know, dozens and dozens and dozens of places like that in the, you know, history of Baltimore shows and stuff, all kinds of stuff out in the county. Those are always like my favorite. They feel like just, I don't know, really fun and spontaneous and stuff like that. Auto Bar, then a bunch of completely random bedrooms and rooms and basements that I've played. You know, there's other great venues. I mean, obviously, like the Gallery does really cool shows. I'll say this: I'm really a fan of places that do all ages shows. It's weird. The older I get, the more it irritates me that shows are 18 and 21 up. Like I get really bent out of shape about it. Like my bands aren't necessarily, you know, they're not like bands that are really bringing anybody out, but I still will like, I'll just be like, it has to be all ages. Like I want to play all ages shows. Like I don't care if no one under the age of 21 is even there. I don't care if anybody is even there. It's just like in principle,
have the option.
I want to play all.
Right. Yeah.
So it really kind of bothers me. And so Baltimore's lucky that, like, you know, even like Metro Gallery, sometimes it might be 18 and up, but other times when they're doing shows where I feel like there's more of a, you know, an audience for like, you know, younger people, they'll make it all ages. And again, Auto Bar has that same thing going on. So that's like, I really like that. So, and I dislike it highly when places don't do that, you know, really.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of great shows at the Auto Bar. I remember I saw Teenage Bottle Rocket,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I sat like on the stairs.
That's awesome. Oh yeah, the little one on the.
Yeah, the like little like 3 set of stairs that like leads up to the stage. I sat on that the whole time. And then during some song, this dude like ran up there. He was in like the back and he like
Uh-huh.
shoved his way through everyone. He like pushed me into like the rail, like ran up the stairs, jumps off of the stage, and then they immediately like throw him out because there's like a no stage diving thing. And then
Yeah,
some
yeah, yeah.
and then he was like, Ray is like, "What happened to that dude?" They're like, "He stage dived." And then some like one of his friends threw a napkin at him, and he goes, "I wiped my ass with that."
That was my. I mean, working there was like, I liked it, but like also at the same time, you know, I don't want to tell people that they can't stage dive. So I would
Yeah.
rather encourage people to stage dive. You don't want anybody to get hurt, but like, so yeah, but you know, of course, like there's just certain things like clubs cannot just be like, oh, it's a free for all. You know what I mean? Just do whatever you want. Like that's just not, you know, it's not a realistic thing. Auto bar. I mean, you know, there's never a barrier, which is great. That's another thing that I really dislike. So, you know, if you see somebody at the auto bar, you can be right up there. You know, sure, you know, you're not supposed to stage dive or whatever, but like you can still be like incredibly close to, you know, to the band. Whereas at like, you know, other places, you're just getting pushed into the fence,
Yeah.
fencing or whatever, and it's just no fun, you know, really. So
I saw this
Yeah.
I saw this band called The Long Shot at the auto bar,
shot.
and it was like it was Billy Joe Armstrong from
Oh,
Green Day.
right. It's his other band.
It was his side project, yeah.
Yeah.
And tickets sold out in like 30 seconds.
Oh wow! I don't think I got to go to that. I think that was after. That was after I worked there, so I don't think I got to go to that show.
That was like I think like 3rd or 4th grade for me, and I kept
Wow.
my phone in my pocket all day.
Oh
And
man, that's cool.
like 5 minutes after tickets went on sale, I text my parents just like a question mark. And I don't know, somehow we got in.
Oh, that's great though. That's amazing. I was a big like Lookout Records. Like I really loved Green Day. You know, again, this is like, you know, this is now like, you know, like earlier '90s, I guess. And I was just like, you know, I liked hardcore and punk, and I really was a big fan of like that early Lookout sound, and I loved Green Day. So I got to see them. They played at that same club, the 8x10, which is in it is in Federal Hill, and it's really small.
Wow.
And they played there on the Kerplunk tour, so nobody was there. It was like 30 people there. So it was,
Wow. Pretty
yeah,
sure 30 is like the capacity for that place.
yeah, there was like 30 people there. It was really laid back, and I was such a fan. I had the first record in Kerplunk, and I would just play them over and over and over again. I only saw them a couple times after that. We went and saw them in a place called City Gardens in New Jersey, like around that time. But once they got really big, once they were playing, like the next time they played Baltimore was with Pansy Division, and it was at an arena. And so we didn't go to that show, but it was cool to see them, you know, catch them right at the edge of them becoming like probably the biggest band, you know, in the world.
Yeah. My dad on the Kaprunk tour saw them in Buffalo.
Oh, Buffalo, that's awesome. Yep.
And
So
then and then the year after that he saw them at Woodstock.
oh wow. Okay, I've seen video of that, which is wild. So that your dad's probably my age. Is your dad 48, or is he like
He's 45.
45? Okay, so I'm 3. I'm gonna just go ahead and get a cane and like
No,
cane and
but
walk. I'm 3 years older than your dad. All right, that was depressing. We're gonna shoot right past that.
I said to him, I was like, what do you remember from Woodstock? He was like, I remember getting hit in the face with a water bottle.
Oh,
He was like,
boy.
people were throwing water bottles all over the place, and he said he was living like an hour away from where the show was, and they knocked down the fence. And they made it for like Metallica, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Green Day. And they brought a tent. They were gonna stay for a couple days. They brought a bunch of food, and then they like left the tent. They went to go watch Green Day, and then they came back, and like all the like literal shit from the porta potty
Oh,
and
they started like
washed it away.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's horrifying to me. I love going to shows, but I'm terrified. I don't terrified is not the right word, but like crowds that are any larger than say the new 930 Club, where it's like a couple thousand people or something. Even that I don't love, but like that is about my limit. You know what I mean? Like when the Descendants got back together,
they played a festival. Like that was
right. They did the newer reunion shows, not the 96 ones. I saw them in 96 when they did Everything Sucks, and it was like they played at the new 930 Club and stuff, and that was fine. Yeah. When they did the new shows and they played Riot Fest and stuff, I was like, I can't do it. Like I can't be in those crowds.
Yeah, the first show that I ever went to, it was the first time I saw the Descendants. It was Punk Rock Bowling, which was quite a big festival. It was the only time it was in New Jersey.
Oh, right. They did the Jersey version of it, right? Because it's in Vegas. Yeah. I've never been. Just again, the amount of people kind of like wigs me out. There's always bands I want to see. I'm always excited, and I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah, it was like H2O, and then the next day, Flag played, and I didn't find that out until years later. They played the next day, and I was like, why didn't we go to that? Why didn't we see Flag?
Bill Stevenson again on those drums. He's so amazing. So yeah, I saw Flag. Flag played Baltimore at the Soundstage, and then
Milo came on.
Milo came on, and that was really great. And then I saw them at the Black Cat. The last time I saw them, I think they played the Black Cat in DC, and that was several years ago. But it was great to see that. So
yeah. I was gonna say the biggest show I've been to floor level was the Soundstage. So I don't like large crowds at all.
Yeah, Soundstage and 930 Club are about my limit. Anything past that,
it was a sold out show the last time I went, and that was the last one I went to. And I'm very short. I stand at a very mighty 4'9", so. There was a 6-foot person in front of me, and I'm just standing there I can't see anything. I can see literally nothing.
Last show that I saw Dinosaur Jr. there, maybe sometime in the winter, and that was the last show that I saw there. But that place is fine. Sometimes it gets a little crowded for me. I saw the Damned there, and it was I felt a little getting a little nervous, but it was okay. I didn't want to not see the Damned if they were playing in Baltimore.
It was in DC. I saw Jawbreaker.
Oh, I went to that show. Yeah, that huge place, right?
That's what sucked. Is it was like a just I don't know, just a huge place. I don't want to say a stadium, but
it was very uninviting. I did not like my experience at the Anthem. Sorry, the Anthem, if you're listening to this. It was like a giant concrete. It was really. We went to it, and I just stayed in the back. We just kind of not the middle back, I guess, and just kind of watched from there. I didn't want to be any closer than that. And yeah, I didn't love the parking was really tough. Also at the Anthem, I didn't love that either. But I needed to see Jawbreaker again.
Yeah.
I tried to see them once in Baltimore. They played. It was a tour that was Jawbox and Jawbreaker together, and then I was so excited to see them. And the singer's throat went out. He said he couldn't sing, so they just didn't play, and only Jawbox played. And then I can't remember when that was. And then a couple of years later, I saw them at the Black Cat on the very last tour when Dear You came out. And but that was again so long ago. I didn't want to miss seeing them in DC. So they played great, but I didn't love the venue. It was kind of impersonal.
Yeah, we got what the venue was calling the super amazing seats or whatever, and it was all the way at the top. And then you had seats, and it was okay, but it was scary. You would look over, and I tried to get a video, and I thought I was gonna. I'm sorry.
I was just so high up. You're saying on the sides?
Yeah, I thought I was gonna drop my phone down.
Yeah, I get really scared of heights. So I can't really do stadium shows for multiple reasons, but I tried one time and I was I feel like I'm about to fall over and just drop 50 feet, and I don't want to do that.
Oh, I saw the Misfits in Philly in December.
I went to that show too.
Oh, awesome.
That was the first stadium. I hadn't been to a show in a stadium since I saw Iron Maiden in like 1986. So that was like the first time I'd been in a stadium show or whatever.
Did you see the Bouncing Souls the same day?
That show was the Dropkick Murphys and the Misfits.
Oh, there was the Bouncing Souls played a matinee in Philly.
Oh, the matinee. Okay, yeah, no, we just got. Unfortunately, I missed that. We just got up there just in time to see the Misfits show. So yeah, unfortunately. So yeah,
that was the most.
I saw them at the Auto Bar too. They were great.
For me, that was the most like backwards, but in the best way possible day ever. We got to Philly and we like took an Uber to the Bouncing Soul show. It was at the TLA, and we had like these acoustic passes to watch. Like we got to the venue early, and Bouncing Souls were gonna play like an acoustic set. So we got there, and all four of them walk out. And, like as soon as we get out of the Uber, we're like, "Can we get a picture?" And it was gonna be like up against the brick wall, and then Greg was like, "Let's get in front of the marquee."
Oh, that's cool.
Best thing ever. And then we get there, and they're like, "We ran out for donuts."
They were nice. The Bouncing Souls guys were nice.
Oh yeah, and then we interviewed Brian.
Oh, that's cool. I've never met any of them or anything, but I love. They're one of those bands where I own one record by them, which is Maniacal Laughter, and every couple of months I really want to hear Maniacal Laughter, and I play it. And
I bought that record at Celebrated Summer.
Oh, that's awesome! Great, yeah. That's
But
that's the one I order all the time. Like I reorder it because I play it in the store. You know, every once in a while, I really get in the mood to hear that. So that's the one. Yeah, I like so much.
But we were at the show, and in between bands at the Bouncing Soul show, I was on my phone, and Dave Haas commented under one of the Bouncing Souls posts. He was like, "Can't wait for the Philly matinee." And Dave Haas is like one of our favorite artists. So we were like, "Hey, maybe we'll run into Dave Haas." And then before the Misfits show, we went to get dinner, and Dave Haas was sitting in the booth next to us. And then we were like, "Can we get a picture?" And then the most awkward thing was us sitting 6 feet away from Dave Haas the whole night, like looking back over and then whispering. And then we got to the Misfits show, and we were super high up.
Okay.
And this dude with like a laminate, and he's in a suit, and he looks super goofy. He comes up to us, and he's like, "Do you want some tickets for down there? They're free." And we're like, "Sure. Just we'll miss Agnostic Front and then have to go back to our seats." So we took the tickets, and it was legit. It was like right next to the stage.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I was on the floor, but like somewhat further back, but it was just exciting to see them or whatever. Agnostic Front, they were great. The last time I'd seen them, though, they played 5 minutes from my house on Harford Road. They just played like, so I had seen them at like the back of this bar, where there was like a good amount of people, but, it was just them playing on the floor. There wasn't even a stage. And then the next time I saw them was like, at that arena with like a million, a zillion people on the huge stage. I was like, man, that's weird for sure.
I've seen Agnostic Front twice at the Misfit show, and then there was this Dave Franklin tribute in New Jersey.
Okay.
And it was like Murphy's Law and Agnostic Front and H2O, and like Lifetime played, but it was like everybody from the other bands sang.
Huh, interesting. I love Lifetime. I was very lucky to see them.
Sorry. Oh, I mean Vision.
Oh, Vision. Yeah. Also, I saw Vision at the 8x10 too. They opened up there once. Yeah,
like Brian Keeneland sang a Vision song, and Jimmy G was on the floor, and we went down and we said hello. And I was super little, and he picked me up, and then he like ran over to the merch table. He was like, "Let's get you a T-shirt. Nothing fits you. What does your mom want?"
Yeah, Murphy's Law are crazy. There's like such a fun band, Like I'm like one of those like straight edge kids that never stopped being straight edge, but I love Murphy's Law. Like all the songs about beer, it's great. You know what I mean? Like it's like there's such a cool band. So yeah.
We talked to yesterday. We talked to Porcell from Youth of Today, and this was the record we did.
That's awesome.
Which,
so he discussed the Murphy's Law record, Back with the Bong. That's the first one that I owned.
yeah, and which probably wasn't the greatest of ideas.
Yeah, probably not the first thing we should have mentioned.
Yeah.
Because Purcell, he's got a good sense of humor, though, right?
Oh yeah.
I don't think I've ever.
The first thing he said was bongs aren't bad and go straight edge.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a super nice guy. That just
fun.
probably wasn't the greatest of records to do.
War Games played with Youth of Today at one of the reunion shows that they did in Philly a number of years ago, and it was cool to see them. But yeah, I feel like those guys have a good sense of humor. I think there's a picture of Purcell and Ray with Gigi Allen, like a picture of them, like I think I've seen that picture like online or whatever. So I feel like maybe those guys have an okay sense of humor. But
oh yeah, he was nice.
Oh, what's that?
Oh yeah, he was super nice.
Yeah, totally.
I think the key to being straight edge, or the key to remaining straight edge, like long in life, is having a good sense of humor and not taking yourself very seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can just kind of laugh at yourself, or like listen to Murphy's Law, or like whatever other things, and like not get too uptight about it. You can kind of like not be a jerk and like hang in there for like a long time, if that's the thing that you're interested in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there are like people who are like vegans who
I mean, again, people get so serious about stuff, and I've seen so many people come and go that are straight edge and vegan and stuff, and it seems like the louder they talk or the more angry they are about things, the shorter amount of time they remain straight edge or vegan or whatever. I couldn't hack it. I couldn't hack it being vegan, but I've been vegetarian for like 30 years, and it's easy. You know what I mean? I just did it and didn't talk about it a ton. And just like being straight edge, I've been straight edge like my whole life, but it's easy. I just don't act like a jerk about it, and it's okay. You know what I mean? But I might listen to some bands that act like a jerk about it. You know what I mean? But like, as long as you have a good sense of humor, as long as you can like, understand that not everybody's going to be the way that you are and stuff like that, you can really hang in there for the long haul. And yeah, I've found that the people that I see, younger kids coming up, they're so angry and they're just like, my entire existence, everything about my life is just straight edge. That is all that I am. And like, those are the kids that are just like gone.
they'll get sleeves like tattooed, and they'll use X's as like queens.
I have no straight edge tattoos, none. And that's why I'm still straight edge.
There are the people on Instagram that put straight edge in their bio, and then the people who put straight edge for life in their bio.
Yeah, it's funny. I almost got a straight edge tattoo. When I was around 40 or like 41, I was like, nah, I've been straight edge for a really long time. Like, I have these tattoos. Like, maybe I should get a straight edge tattoo. I'm going to do it. And I booked the time with my friend Matt to get a straight edge tattoo. And as I went in there, I said, no, I can't do this. I'm going to get the least straight edge tattoo that I can possibly think of. And that was getting one of my favorite punk splits of all time is Filth and Blatz. It's on Lookout, and I guess it was reissued on some other labels. But Filth and Blatz, and every song is about like, I don't know, they're just ridiculous. It's just like about getting effed up and like, doing blow and like all these things. It's like one of my favorite punk records of all time. And I was like, no, give me a razor blade that says Filth and Blatz. Like, I'm not getting a straight edge tattoo. Like, forget it. I'm not going to jinx it. You know what I mean? Sometimes friends, and they're like, let me get that straight edge tattoo. And they're like, bzz, and they're just like, oh man, I could use a drink right now. It's like they stop being straight edge the second they get a straight edge tattoo.
Like, you know what? Tattoo a bong on me.
Yeah. I didn't. So I got Filth Blatz.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
I think this is a very no problem. Sorry, I think we just kind of went off.
No,
I don't think we talked really.
I mean, we don't mind that at all. We like to have like actual conversations with people. So
probably more but,
we have like questions, but as a backup for everyone, like if we have to ask the questions, like it's not our favorite.
Yeah.
Well, you can always pick out, if you want me back, you can always pick out a random record like Murphy's Law or something, and I'll come on and talk about it or something. So, but yeah, stop by the store sometime, and I'm excited that y'all are doing this and that you live in Perry Hall, which is like really, that's close to my heart because where I grew up. So.
Yeah, I've been to the Soundgarden. Now I got to go to Celebrated Summer.
Yeah, drop in.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I keep telling you.
Baltimore is lucky. Baltimore has a lot of really good record stores, and Soundgarden's one of them. So which is awesome. So
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Thank you.